All right, let's get talking. How were African Americans created? Right now, I'm showing you an image of a Mende couple from Sierra Leone. Basically, African Americans were created by a blending of various Niger Congo speaking people, that is, mainly people from West and Central Africa, along with some European and Native American input as well. Now, so I'm going to show you some using myself as a microcosm. I'm going to show you different groups who went into my ancestry, and my ancestry is not radically different overall from the African American population. So again, right now we're looking at um, Sierra Leoneans. I'll be showing different pictures along with my ancestry DNA results. So going here, when it opens, when it opens, we have a Ghanaian woman, uh, Clara Amfro. She's Ghanaian but British by uh, nationality or citizenship. And then we have this blogger who is Nigerian. What you'll find usually is that when African Americans take the ancestry DNA test, their highest um, category tends to be either Nigeria or what they refer to as Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples. And then the other regions will fall under that, will fall under that in that order. Okay, so, and then we have Boris Kojo, who is Ghanaian and German. Picture of him when he still had hair. Like I say, we are a combination of West African, Central African, and European, as well as Native American and Malagasy. All of these elements came together to form the African American people. And you will see um, a certain pheno range. Okay, and then Mariah Carey, for someone who, although she has African ancestry, she has more European than African ancestry. You will find that people like this are still considered African American, although there is a movement for people like this to, and Boris Kodjoe, to not identify as being African American or black. Going over here, when it opens, we see, and I'm gonna, butcher his name, Namdi Asomgha, who is Nigerian American. Uh-oh. Who is Nigerian American. What you will find in American literature is that there were runaway, and he happens to be from the Igbo ethnicity. What you will find in American and other literature, other English colonial literature, is that there are advertisements for runaway slaves, which lists the Igbo, and they mention those that mention the Igbo mention that they were yellowish in color. The Igbo are considered, or they're considered a black people. They're not mulattoes like Boris Kojo uh, historically would have been considered a mulatto because he has an African parent or a so-called Negro parent and a European or so-called white parent, whereas uh, Nnamdi Asomgha has two African parents. There was, or it was a great degree of skin tone variation amongst the Igbo people. So you would see runaway slave advertisements mentioning that a person who was Igbo was yellow, and it became a stereotype that they were lighter than other uh, Africans. So now closing this out, we go over to this image just to show the Native American element. That went into um, creating African Americans. This element is not uh, very high or as high as people often claim it to be, but it is present. And it would have mostly been through um, women. Most of the time, ambulance comes something going by. Most of the time, when African Americans take DNA tests that deal with uniparental markers like mitochondria or Y chromosome, for mitochondria, we typically get African results. We may get European results. We may get uh, a Native American mitochondria haplogroup, which means that, let's say, she had a daughter with who would could be with another Native American man, or sorry, another not another Native, not another Native American man, but another Native American, uh, who of course would be a man to have a baby. But and then if her daughters kept having daughters down the line, regardless of what race they ended up with, their modern descendants would have her uh, haplogroup. But usually this doesn't happen, but actually happens more often with Hispanic or Latino, Latinx communities, like Mexicans or Dominicans or Puerto Ricans are more likely to have a lineage, a female lineage going back to a Native American woman. And over here we see, I'll show you this image here. Okay, so this image is from the movie 12 Years a Slave. Not many of us, we don't have much Nilotic ancestry. I'm not going to say it's absent, but we don't have much of it. Nilotic people are primarily located in the, or they are an East African people who live uh, along the Nile and also into parts of the Sahara. But it was not uncommon for European men during our enslavement to, or our ancestors' enslavement, to impregnate African women. And so as a result, many of us, this excludes me, however, many of us African American men have a Y chromosome that traces back to a European man. But it doesn't always, it's not always the case that the people who have them are lighter skinned. So you can't tell uh, going back into, we're talking about the 16, uh, 17, 1800s, perhaps even as far back for some people, the I don't know, 1500s, but primarily this would have this took place. A study showed in the 1700s and 1800s. Going over here, it's an image of a Congolese wedding. A Congolese couple, because Congolese traditional wedding styles, because many of us have ancestors who are brought from the Congo, and this would show up on the ancestry DNA test as Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples. So now I think I can close out some of these, closing out this, closing out this, and closing out this. We now go over to closing out this as well, and this. We now go to Malagasy, or image of a Malagasy person. When this opens, Okay, so the Malagasy are a people of the island of Madagascar. They are a blend of Bantu people. Bantu made a great migration or expansion from the Nigeria Cameroon border, what is now the Nigeria and Cameroon border, and they traveled to um, Central Africa. They traveled to Eastern Africa, to Southern Africa, and then from Eastern Africa, they traveled to uh, Madagascar, where they blended with people who are known today as Austronesians, who came from places like Indonesia and the Philippines, but ultimately their home apparently was Taiwan. And these people, they spread out from Taiwan to become the ancestors of such people as Samoans, uh, other Polynesian people, the Maori of New Zealand, various people of Easter Island. They made their way all the way to the island that is now known as Madagascar, and they blended with the Bantu people, and this is the result. I think that she has a fairly good balance of features. There are others who look uh, very much more Asian than this. It happens to be the case that the Wayans brothers descend from a Malagasy male. There were a certain number of Malagasy who were brought to Virginia in the late 1600s and early 1700s. So you will see in African American DNA test results uh, signs of that admixture. So before I go to that, we'll just go over here to Angola. Looking at this too. There's some speculation that Angola is the origin of the term Gullah. This is a African American subculture who still use a creolized version of a Creole English language. This is just a visual of Angolan men. I'm showing these pictures to you so you can have an idea of the phenotypes that went into the African American community. The Congolese people I showed you and Angolans are both Bantu people. So now we can close this out. And this is just again to show you, another Igbo woman, but again, just to just show you that some of the people who you will find mentioned in slave advertisements to show you that although when they make slave movies, they never make uh, they tend to cast people who are all dark skinned. It's not the case that everyone from Africa was dark skinned, and it's not the case that everyone who was light skinned was a mulatto house servant. Then closing this out, but in general, this would be probably the general, or here would be the general skin tone range of most of our ancestors. And again, looking at this image, I would say that I would suspect that, although I can't quite discern something about her hair, I think that this, I don't know, but something about her seems like she might be uh, mixed. I don't know. Something about her facial features, but I don't. She would probably not be mixed. But anyways, so going now to my own DNA origins. When this opens up, close this out. This might make it okay. So we're almost there. Almost there. Closing this out here. Come on. I needed to. Okay, so what we see here is that, at least for me, Nigeria is it gonna let me scroll down? Or is it not gonna let me scroll? Okay, now it seems, hey, okay, here we go. So for me, Nigeria is my largest percentage. And then in second place, there is the Cameroon and Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples I mentioned. There is Benin and Togo. Benin and Togo can spill over into Nigeria as well as into Ghanaian. So some of my Nigerian ancestry reads as Benin and Togo, and some of my Ghanaian ancestry reads as Benin and Togo. And I show an image of uh, either Togolese or Beninese people. Senegal and Mali both spill over into or are included as part of my any Sierra Leonean ancestry I might have. Ivory Coast and Ghana, I showed you two people who are from Ghana. The Scotland, the Ireland, the Sweden, and Denmark, that covers um, the European. I showed you with the clip from 12 Years a Slave, with the guy who was giving looks like he was giving Lupita a rather creepy back shoulder massage or something. And then Southern Bantu peoples, I did not mention that, but Southern Bantu peoples and Southern Philippines are what combine together to create the Malagasy element. And then the indigenous Americas North, England, Northwestern Europe, we can again represent that by the that particular scene, and Wales. Now, something else I can show. If I can find. Okay, so I'll show you here my chromosome painter. Break down. Let this open. To show you that Malagasy element. Okay, so let's see my. Let me see. I'm gonna see my chromosome painter to show that to you. Okay, so it says, where are your ethnicities in your DNA? So here's my chromosome painter. How things came together in my case. With again Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples, Benin and Togo, Senegal, Mali, Ivory Coast and Ghana, Scotland, Ireland, Sweden and Denmark, Southern Bantu peoples, Southern Philippines, Indigenous Americas, England and Northwestern Europe, and Wales. Then there's some area segments that they didn't assign to anything. And there's some segments that are untested, so maybe, and that could affect what my results are with updates. But so if I take Nigeria, sorry, let's keep this highlighted. Okay. So if I take Nigeria, this is my ethnicity estimate for how much of my results are Nigerian. And you will see these two bars represent my chromosome. Each of my chromosomes was inherited from one parent and the other. So it says maternal and paternal. And for people who say, "Oh, you're whatever your father is," or but you inherit from both sides. So that's how you end up with 46 chromosomes altogether. Although they don't worry about the XX or XY sex chromosome pair. But closing this out, we will now go into here. Wait, go here to southern Philippines. And I have to get rid of this Nigeria here. So here is where I have southern